This meeting is being recorded.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Mayor Beverly H. Burks, and this is the June 3rd, 2025 Clarkston City Council meeting. We'll start off with roll call, starting with Vice Mayor Johnson,
Present.
Councilwoman Bell,
Present.
Councilman Perkins,
Present.
Councilwoman Adi,
Present.
Councilwoman Hood.
Present.
Okay, and we're waiting on one more councilman, Councilman Carroll. And I recognize our city manager, Shaquia Miller Thornton. There any changes to the agenda? Hearing none, the agenda is accepted by common consent. We will now move into presentations and administrative business, starting with the presentation on building a community brand by Caitlin Message, Studio Art Director with the Carl Vinson Institute of Georgia at UGA. So come on up. And you can speak up at the podium. Mhm. Yeah.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Thank y'all for having me. I'm going to go really fast because I've only got 5 minutes. So I run a studio at UGA and we do community branding. We also do downtown planning work. And our community branding process, I have a couple slides to show you today. I don't know where to change those. Okay.
He's
All right, go ahead and change it. Thank you. And you can keep going. We're going to go fast. So community branding to us does not mean just a logo. We do a whole lot more than that. It's all about shaping the overall perception of a place. So that involves economic development, urban planning, marketing, and branding. All of those things are factored in on these year-long projects. I would say that if you just need a logo, you should hire locally with a graphic designer. But if you want a comprehensive branding process that involves public input, public engagement, and the voice of the people, we are the best place to go for that kind of thing. Go ahead and change the slide again, please. So some of the values of our branding process, I think that makes UGA a little bit different, is getting that collective story from the people, having a very thorough public input process. I'm sure people have heard of times when they were not involved in a branding process and it didn't go very well. So we like to avoid that by asking the people what they think. But some of the values of this are to uncover that collective identity and story that shapes all of your marketing efforts, to drive economic development and investment in your downtown. Mainly, we're trying to create a memorable destination for people to come spend money, open a business, bring their families here, and that's what branding is all about. All right, next slide. We have a 3-step branding process. Because we're UGA, we're nonprofit, we're not trying to make a lot of money on it. We just want to recover costs. We are able to spend a lot of time on our phase 1 in creating that message by asking people through public input meetings and surveys. Before we do any logo design, we start with collecting the message. So getting the story right. Next slide, please. So step 1, just to go into that real quick, we work with a local steering committee. We do surveys, interviews, and focus groups. We look at your competitors and how they're positioning themselves in the market. We do a lot of research, and all of that feeds into if you need a tagline or slogan for your city, we come up with that. Mainly comes from people, though, when people tell us their ideas. And then we create a brand position, which is basically how you're going to sell yourself to different markets. All right, next slide. The next step is creating the look, which is most people what they identify with in branding is the logo. Yes, it includes logos, colors and fonts, all the graphic elements. You see Hartwell there on the screen. We just finished their brand. Illustrations, photography, every type of visual need you could ever imagine to help market your city with advertising and mock-ups. Work on websites, social media, the whole thing. Next slide. And then step 3, last but not least, is coming up with a strategy to implement that brand. That might be a reveal event or brand rollout. doing social media campaigns and swag giveaways, those kind of things to get your brand going. We like to say it takes about a year to really roll out a brand because people need to see things, I think 27 times in marketing. For anyone who's ever
Mhm.
studied that. So, so we stay with you at UGA through that whole thing. All right, next slide. Just wanted to show you one example today from the city of Monroe. This is the finished lookbook, is what we call it. It's kind of the report that shows you how to use your brand, all kind of ideas creatively. And I wanted to show this slide. It's my last slide to show you that you're not just getting one logo. You're getting a package of graphics. And you see the man on the left. That's a mock-up rendering. They ended up making those T-shirts and hats. They sell them in the Welcome Center. Would do mock-ups like that in the lookbook. And then the Fall Fest at the bottom is one of 10 events that we also branded as part of the project. So it's very comprehensive. It's a whole lot of fun. And a lot of our clients start out with meetings like this. So thank you for the opportunity. If you have any questions, let me know.
Okay, thank you. And Council, did you have any questions? Oh, Councilman Perkins?
Sure. I just wanted to add a little context to this. I know that marketing and branding has been a conversation that has kind of gone in different directions. It's been discussed for a while. Because of the length of the process and the specialization that UGA offers, I thought it'd be a good idea to go ahead and get this on everyone's radar, especially as we enter into budget discussions later this summer and into the fall. And thank you again, Caitlin, for being willing to come out and present to us. So I don't see this as a sort of a final step, but more because it takes a while, to get, these conversations going. And then once the conversation is going and an agreement is reached, as you said, it takes a year. We're not talking about branding a company. It's a whole city. It's a whole identity. It's a little bit different than the corporate world. And so I just wanted to open this conversation up to my colleagues just to kind of say, is this, we've got a new DDA, we have, the Historic Preservation Commission is continuing to grow. We have a number of elements of the city that are growing, and a cohesive brand identity helps us be more competitive in an environment that already is competitive. We're competing against much larger cities. We're right on the edge of Atlanta, and it's amazing how much farther a well put together presentation with a cohesive look can get you in terms of communicating your city's values and advocating for your constituents. And so that's really the preface that I'll give to this, but happy to chat more with anyone.
Yes,
My
Vice Mayor.
question is for Caitlin as well as Councilman Perkins. Does this line up with the plan that the communications director spoke about at the retreat? Are y'all working with the communications director? Or is this something in conjunction to, or are we gonna take? Are you in talks with any of them about this project? Just
She's the one that made the connection with Caitlin.
That's, I'm just asking.
Yeah, yeah.
Nobody answered yet, so.
Oh, I wasn't sure who you were directing your question to. So.
Hello, Mayor and Council, City Manager. I actually attended UGA's Government Communicators Conference in the fall. This is where Caitlin initially presented this plan. At the time that she presented, I believe you guys were. Yeah. So I discussed it with the previous city manager. It was something that we agreed to come back and discuss at a later date. And then I shared it with Jacob and some of the city staff. Councilman Perkins actually had a conversation with me about branding efforts. And that's when I shared the presentation with him. So we've been in conversation about it.
Okay, great, good deal. Thank you.
All right, Councilwoman Hood.
Loved your presentation. What is the price range that we're talking about?
Well, it depends on the scope of work. So some of our projects are really big, and those are countywide projects that have a lot of sub-brands and all the different governmental departments. So that is completely dependent on whatever scope we outline for this project. So there's a wide range. So it'd be hard to even give you an accurate number right off the bat. But
For just giggles.
I mean, they
That's-
range anywhere from 55 to 85 usually, thousand. And we come in lower than a lot of private markets. So I know that seems shocking, but that is what it costs. And we are all only trying to recover costs. That covers our team's time for a year's worth. But one thing I would like to add is we do work with you if you want to make that over several fiscal years, you can.
Okay.
Thank you.
And how long is the scope of work? Can this be a 6-month project, 2-year project? How long?
Well, from the beginning, when we start public input, it usually takes 9 months until we roll out a brand new brand. But we stay with you for, I mean, I'm still working with clients from 3 years ago to help them roll out brands. So we're not going anywhere.
Okay, and that's filtered into the price?
Yes,
Okay,
there is.
thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay. I guess my only, and I'm glad you brought this point up because the other piece is, and that would be more for the city manager to address because it would be over kind of our normal threshold. But it's the presentation for the thought process to start flowing,
Of
right?
course, yes.
Right. And because I want to make sure, since it was our communications director who initiated all of this, that in terms of staff and how it flows, can we get concurrence that she will be with the guidance of the city manager in terms of moving forward with this? Is that, I mean, because,
Oh, yes.
okay,
Well, we would love it if the communication director is involved. That's the main person we need to talk to usually.
right. Right, okay, and that's perfect, because then we'd have to also do anything that's over a certain threshold, we're gonna still have to do the procurement process for it. Correct, okay, I just wanted to make sure.
And
Okay,
I'd like to leave this book with
yes,
you.
please, thank you. Make sure, give it to my city manager.
Thank you.
Okay, all right, any other questions? Okay, thank you so much for coming and providing this information, and the Monroe looks wonderful. Thank you. No, you can stay if you want to hear some hearings. Thank you. Okay, now we'll move to Employee of the Month, and that is Dr. Baker.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm here to present the Employee of the Month for the month of May 2025. This employee has demonstrated outstanding effectiveness in enforcing code compliance standards throughout Clarkston's multifamily housing units. Through diligent inspections and an unwavering commitment to public safety, this employee has issued hundreds of code violations this year, directly contributing to the improvement of housing quality and helping to build a cleaner, safer, and more livable community. In addition to efforts in housing, this employee has consistently supported local businesses in maintaining compliance. Despite the challenges that come with enforcing regulations, this employee remains a positive and dependable presence in the office. This employee fosters strong relationships with the economic development team and business owners, actively educates others on proper code procedures, and leads by example. The professionalism, teamwork, and deep commitment to public service demonstrated by this employee embody the values and excellence we strive for here in the city of Clarkston. The Employee of the Month for May 2025 is Ms. Sanitha Smith, Code Enforcement Officer, Planning and Economic Development Department. I also want to share that yesterday was her birthday. So happy belated birthday. She also receives a $50 gift card. In the office, no birthday cake.
No, okay. Thank you. So, Jacob or Rich? Okay, and now we'll have the business of the month, Mr. Jacob.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council, and City Manager. I'm here to present the business of the month for the month of May here in Clarkston. And I'm just going to read an excerpt that is already out online recognizing this business. The City of Clarkston is excited to spotlight Edwin Jarvis Print and Co-work as the May 2025 Business of the Month. In the heart of downtown Clarkston sits a neighborhood gem that does far more than just printing. Edwin Jarvis Print and Co-work, led by community advocate Han Pham, is the City of Clarkston's Business of the Month. A well-deserved honor that recognizes the shop's role as both a business and a community leader. Han Pham officially took over Edwin Jarvis in 2025, continuing the legacy started by founder Alan Kim while growing the shop's community impact. Han Pham is the executive director of Her Term and a 2024-2025 Obama leader. Han brings a deep commitment to inclusive economic development and local empowerment, and she's joined by Amanda Walker, who's been with Edwin and Jarvis for at least 8 years and remains the heart of the shop. Edwin Jarvis isn't just a printing shop, it's a designated, it's a space designed with Clarkston's people in mind. From scanning handwritten forms to helping local entrepreneurs build marketing materials, the business provides services many residents rely on but may not otherwise have access to. With multilingual support in Vietnamese and Spanish, they've become a trusted resource across the most diverse communities in the U.S. Since taking the reins, Han has deepened the business's local roots, launching initiatives that bridge commerce and community. This past month in May, Edwin Jarvis hosted the first ever Clarkston Makers Market, a dynamic event filled with food, performances, nonprofits, and small businesses. And this event alone drew over 600 attendees to Clarkston, spotlighting local vendors, delightful duo fire twirlers, local restaurants, and immigrant-owned businesses, creating just not an event, but a celebration of Clarkston spirit. The Makers Market also featured the Giving Corridor, a creative space for community members to connect with local service organizations. Through interactive booths and giving opportunities, residents learned about health clinics, refugee support, and more. It's a reflection of Edwin Jarvis' broader mission to uplift, support, and connect. Located on Rowland Street, just across from City Hall and steps away from the library, the shop's physical space mirrors its energy. Approachable, walkable, and filled with purpose. Han describes opening the shop each morning as a moment of peace and gratitude, saying it's the people of Clarkston who brings joy and meaning to the work. Looking ahead, Edwin Jarvis plans to continue expanding its community role by hosting a hands-on maker workshop, which focuses on designs, marketing, and entrepreneurship. These sessions will support the next wave of local creators and business owners, helping turn big ideas into real-world success. And this is a quote from Han. She said, "Start with intention. You don't have to have it all figured out. Just stay grounded in your purpose, be kind, be consistent, and relationships are trust." We're extremely proud to spotlight Edwin Jarvis and Co-work as a key part of Clarkston's small business ecosystem and a model for economic inclusion, creative growth, and community connection. Unfortunately, Han is not here tonight to accept the award. She's actually hosting an event on economic development and women empowerment, and staff does plan to deliver the award at a later date.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you for recognizing that wonderful business. She's doing a great job. Next, we'll have D, which is to approve the following meeting minutes. And number one is 5/6. 2025, the city council meeting. And number 2 is 5/27/2025, the city council work session. So I'll entertain a motion at this time.
Have a motion.
Yes, Councilman Perkins.
I move that we approve the May 6, 2025 city council meeting minutes and the May 27th, 2025 city council work session meeting minutes.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
It has been properly moved and seconded to approve the following meeting minutes: May 6, 2025 city council meeting and May 27th, 2025 city council work session. Are you ready for the question? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion passed. And now we'll proceed with the city manager's report, starting with City Manager Miller Thornton.
We have copies of the report for mayor and council. First, Madam Mayor. First, I'd like to give update on the new administrative and police building at 736 Park North Boulevard. We have weekly project meetings that are held with the city, the general contractor, and other appropriate subcontractors or vendors. Lighting and information technology systems have been installed in the space, and painting has been completed after assistance from Mayor Burks and DeKalb County CEO Cochran Johnson. Fire alarm and sprinkler system permits were released to the general contractor on 5/19/2025. Fire alarm and sprinkler system renovations are being performed at present, and construction of the new dais is still underway. These renovations will be followed by flooring and furniture installations. The space is scheduled to be move-in ready during the week of June 23rd, 2025. I did have a typo in that paragraph, so please forgive me. Administration and operations, 2025 ad valorem tax millage rate. The city manager's office, in conjunction with the finance department, continues to perform analysis of the current year's budget, cash flow, and expected ad valorem tax collections. This office is working to identify potential reductions in expenditures in order to bridge an appropriate $1.7 million gap between budget and revenue expected to be collected at the current mill rate of 13.890. During the May 27, 2025 work session, mayor and council consented on a tentatively approved rate of 19.298. This rate represents the millage rate necessary to meet fiscal year 2025 expense appropriations as budgeted, and is not the final adopted rate. Final adoption of the millage rate is not scheduled to be considered until Thursday, June 26, 2025. In the interim, the administration is committed to complete thorough analysis of any changes in digest, estimated losses due to appeals, and potential adjustments in the fiscal year 2025 budget. The goal is to establish a scenario that offers best opportunity to fund the provision of services while considering impact on the city's taxpayers. Timeline, I have provided to you a timeline established to receive public comment regarding the notice of tax increase and to consider adoption of the 2025 ad valorem millage rate. First public hearing is scheduled for June 18th at 10 a.m. The advertisement for those hearings is set to go out in the local newspaper on Thursday of this week. Fiscal year 2024, I will just add regarding analysis of the 2025 budget. I have preliminarily identified approximately a $450,000 reduction in payroll expense for the 2025 year. If we are to continue to consider COLA, which is a 3% adjustment in wages at July 1, estimated payroll savings will be $383,000. Fiscal year 2024 audit preparation, the administration and finance offices continue to complete fiscal year 2024 journal entries and reconciliations for completion of trial balances and work papers to be submitted to the city's auditors. Letter has been drafted to the Department of Audit and Accounts to request extension on submittal of the 2024 audit report. Audit report is due June 30th, 2025. Electronic payment capabilities. This is just an update. The departments of the city continue to conduct meetings and demo sessions with financial court services management, permitting, and licensing software providers. The purpose of these meetings and sessions is to identify platform and software options that will offer automated and streamlined processes in an effort to improve efficiency of service to our residents, customers, and other stakeholders. To date, the city has entered into a service agreement with Civic Plus for agenda and meeting management, and Civic Rec for community engagement and online registration of the use of city facilities. Upcoming events are the food distribution on June 7th, beginning at 10 a.m., our Juneteenth event on June 14th, 2025, and then we have members of council and staff that will be attending the GMA convention in Savannah on June 20th through the 24th. Previous events, I'd like to give a special thank you to our Parks and Recreation for a successful pool opening party held on Friday, May 30th. A thank you is extended to Public Works for taking care of the food and other tasks, and to Public Safety for manning the event and engaging with the attendees in an excellent show of community policing. Thank you to all the staff who participated in the planning of a great event. The event is estimated to have served between 350 and 400 citizens. Human Resource Department, new hires, LaStacia Evans Martin has been rehired to the accounting office in the finance department. The City of Clarkston is hosting summer interns that started today. I think they had a great time with staff. We have received five interns from DeKalb County with pay for those interns to be paid by DeKalb County. They will be with us for a 5-week period ending July 3rd. Recruitment has been suspended. Position recruitment for vacant and open positions have been suspended as the city manager's office conducts analysis of the city's budget and cash flow for mill rate and budget considerations. Purchasing and procurement, requests for proposals for the Safe Streets for All consulting services were due on Thursday, May 29th at 9:30 a.m. 6 bids were received. An evaluation committee is set to review the bids and to present recommendation to council for consideration of award. We have staff and one local citizen on the committee. Mr. Dean Moore has graciously agreed to serve on the review committee. The LED sign replacement has been completed at the corner of Church and Roland. Staff is to be trained on how to create and display sign content on Wednesday, June 4th, 2024. And as a separate item, contractual services RFP for the Greenway Trail project engineering design services is due June 17th at 9:30. City of Clarkston is seeking proposals from qualified firms or organizations to provide consultant services for engineering design and right-of-way acquisition for the Clarkston Greenway Trail project phase 1. If you should have any questions regarding this report, please give me a call. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for the city manager? Hearing none, we'll move on to the city attorney. Ms. Laura.
Good evening, Mayor Burks, council members. I did not have anything to report tonight.
Well, thank you. Thank you for being
You're
here. We'll move on to council remarks, starting with Vice Mayor Johnson.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I had the pleasure on May 8th, along with a lot of city staff, to attend the State of the Union DeKalb with CEO Lorraine Cochran Johnson. I actually attended the May 30th pool opening. It was epic. It was very nice. And I would like to encourage everyone to come out to the June 7th food drive on Saturday at 10 a.m. That's my report.
Okay, Councilman Carroll.
So I went to the first Clarkston City Housing Town Hall on May 22nd. I thank the mayor and everyone else, the staff that contributed to that. I thought it was a great event. I thought there was a really good public turnout at the community center, a lot of really good feedback. Hopefully the first one of several, which will move towards solutions. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Councilwoman Bell.
Yeah, I also attended the ARC Housing Town Halls. Thank you for the staff and the mayor for leading that initiative. And also consulted with Refuge Coffee in regards to the annual race, so people be prepared for the fall. And also went to a local progress committee on adaptive changes to kind of work as a collective of governance across the country on how we combat some of the chaos that we're feeling and facing on the federal level.
Thank you, Councilman Perkins.
Thank you. I also attended the State of DeKalb address on May 8th and the Clarkson Housing Summit on May 22nd. So thank you to DeKalb for in the office of CEO Cochran Johnson for putting the State of DeKalb together, and also to our staff and in collaboration with ARC for putting up the housing summit. It gives us a lot of really good feedback and conversations to work off of as we move into our comprehensive plan update next year. And then finally, just a moment, just remembering last week was Memorial Day. For a lot of us, that means it's time to go out and we spend time with our families. For a lot of people, it's not that. It is a day of just remembering loss and pain. And so to just the families and veterans that had served and people who've lost loved ones in service of our country, just want to take a moment to thank you for that. And that is all I have, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. And Councilwoman Adie.
Thank you. May 9th, I attended Amani Women's Center distributing shoes to refugee children. And it was so interesting. A lot of kids that were lacking shoes came there and they all got their shoes. So May 22nd, I attended Housing Summit at Clarkson Community Center, where a lot of residents and different organizations attended. And it was very interesting. Really. Then May 30th, I attended the pool opening at Milan Park, and there are also a lot of kids and adults attended. It was interesting, and they all loved it and were happy to be there.
Okay, thank you. And Councilwoman Hood.
Yes, thank you. As everyone has already said about the Housing Summit, I attended. It was very informative and gave us a lot to think about and look forward to more aspects of that as we continue a sort of a deep dive into our housing situation in Clarkston. I also attended a planning meeting on the Stone Mountain Trail, and this is an effort by DeKalb County. And at first I didn't realize that it was going to have so much effect on Clarkston, but they're not just looking at improving the signs on the Stone Mountain Trail that goes through here and nearby cities. They're really looking at taking a comprehensive look at the impact of the trail and how the trail itself can be better and how it can better serve the communities that it goes through. So that was an excellent event.
All right, thank you.
Mayor
Now
Burks.
yes,
I'm sorry, I have 2 project updates, if that's okay.
absolutely.
I'm sorry. And these have come from Engineer Larry Kaiser. The 2023-2024 MS4 report documentation is being prepared. Is due to be submitted, completed prior to 6/15 and submitted to the state. Stormwater user fee audit. We had a detailed discussion about this in our council retreat. The draft letter has been prepared to go out to the commercial and industrial customers as council has requested. And we are determining a public meeting date for all of those who will be affected by the change in the rates for stormwater. Those rates have been sent to the commissioner's office to be included in the tax statements for 2025. Just one more. Mill Avenue traffic operational improvements for SPLOST 9. The concept plans have been completed and the draft letters were sent to my office and sent out to all of those who presented comments on that particular project. Those letters went out today. And I think that's all. I think the most important one was the information on the stormwater increases. Thank you.
Thank you for that update, and I'll go into my mayor's report, where I also attended the State of DeKalb on May 8th, and I'm thankful for our new CEO, Lorraine Cochran Johnson. On the 13th, I attended the Resource 101 in partnership with Decide DeKalb and our wonderful staff. So thank you for all of that wonderful work that you guys did for that project, and it was well attended with resources for small businesses. And that was also our way of working with the DDA as well. So thank you so much. I attended the 10th anniversary of Refuge Coffee on May 17th, as well as the Clarkston Market event that we talked about earlier with one of our businesses. I attended the MAMA meeting, which is the Metro Atlanta Mayors Association, where we were in Douglasville and we focused on data stations. I attended the Greater Atlanta Housing Builders Association, where they had Affordability Housing Summit. And I also attended the Stone Mountain Trail Planning meeting that they had at the Women's Club. I attended the Civic Pathways with American Pathways, where the individuals who came and wanted to use local projects, our crosswalk, graduated. And so I was there not only to speak, but also to support them as one of the local leaders where they decided to use Clarkston as part of the project. And I was very happy to be a part, and Councilwoman Hood also helped with the Housing Summit. And so that was ARC's first Housing Summit, and we were part of their Community Development Assistant program, one of 7 municipalities in the region to be a part of that. So really want to thank the staff for all that they did to put it together and all the revisions and everything else. And I want to thank the council for coming out and making sure that, you know, we all are working together to look at how we're addressing housing for our community. I also attended the pool opening, and so that was a great splash out there. So thanks for Public Works for holding it down in the back, and all the staff in terms of what you did. So thank you so much. Attended the board meeting where I'm a member along with Commissioner Terry. With the Georgia Council of International Visitors. And so if you didn't know, previously we had a whole entourage of international delegations that would come into our city and learn more about Clarkston. And so hopefully we'll be able to maybe have some of them start coming again. And so I also attended the, I'll leave it at that. That's all. Thanks, everyone. And so with that,
Last one is a secret.
I was like, "Ugh." No, that's okay. So thank you all. And so we'll move into public comments. Any member of the public may address the council during the time allotted for public comment. Each attendee will be allowed 3 minutes for comments at the discretion of the presiding officer. The public comment period will be limited to 40 minutes. It's not a time for dialogue. If your public comment contains a series of questions, please submit those to the city clerk in writing. This will facilitate follow-up by the council or staff. The city council desires to allow an opportunity for public comment. However, the business of the city must proceed in an orderly and timely manner. So at this time, city clerk, do we have anyone signed up?
No, Mayor.
Okay. Do we have it? Okay. So we will at this time close public comments. There's no old business, and we have 3 items on the consent agenda, and that 3 items, typically when we have our work session, if there is no further dialogue on any particular items, we put them on consent agenda and we approve them at one time. So at this time, I will ask our council member, Speedy, Councilman Carroll, to take the opportunity to go ahead and, if you don't mind, to do that.
Madam Mayor, I make a motion to approve the consent agenda 7A, to approve a proclamation designating June as Caribbean American Heritage Month. 7B, to approve proclamation designating June as Pride Month. 7C, to approve resolution authorizing purchase agreement from Scope Sports Lighting LLC for the installation of field lights at soccer field in Milan Park, including 100,000 marching funds from Los Angeles for Atlanta United pitch grant.
Okay. And is there a second? Thank you.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded. It was Councilman Perkins that did it first. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion passed. Now we will proceed with our public hearings. And we will start with A, which is a public hearing to receive comments from the public regarding an ordinance to amend the text of the Clarkston zoning ordinance to provide housing topography for each of the allowed residential housing types. And I'll have Mr. Richard Edwards to come up first to kind of give an overview. So then if anyone would like to speak, they'll have an opportunity.
Thank you, Mayor and Council and City Manager. So on this one, this is the second read on this one. We're just putting in housing typologies for all the housing types allowed in NR1, NR2, and NR3, which includes single-family detached dwellings, accessory dwelling units, cottage court, duplex, triplex / quadplex, and townhouse. And from our last introduction here, the only change that was made was to 301.1A, which we added there. These typologies are provided solely for illustrative purposes and shall not be construed as actual design plans or intended design representations. Sorry, I can get that one out. And with that, I will turn it back over to the mayor and the council for any questions.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Edwards. And with that, I will go into our hearing session. And that, do we have anyone at this time signed up? Okay, we have no one signed up. We have no one signed up. Anyone signed up to speak? Anyone signed up to speak? Anyone signed up to speak? Hearing none, we will close the public hearing. So now we will move into B, which is to have the second read and adoption of an ordinance to amend the text of the Clarkston zoning ordinance to provide housing topology for each of the allowed residential housing types. And so I'll ask someone to provide a motion, but I want to also make sure if there's anything in terms of for any one of these, that if someone from the council wants us to do additional work for staff, that we make sure that we let them know and have consensus so that the city manager can properly direct any type of activities that we would want staff to do, not only for this one, but for anyone, so that we're all on the same page. Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
Have a motion.
Yes.
Move that we approve an ordinance to amend the Clarkston zoning ordinance, Appendix A, Article 3 of the City Code, to provide housing typology layouts for single-family detached dwellings, accessory dwelling units, cottage housing developments, duplex, triplex, quadplex, and townhouse.
Second.
Okay. All right, so now I gotta find the whole one. All right, so we will, is there any further discussion on this item? Councilwoman Bell? Oh, no, no, okay. Okay, all in favor to approve the item, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Okay, motion passed. All right, thank you. We'll move on to C, which is a public hearing to receive comments from the public regarding an ordinance to amend the Clarkston zoning ordinance to add definitions and use regulations for child daycare, adult daycare, convenience stores, grocery stores, fitness centers, and small food retail. And again, that will be Mr. Edwards.
All right, thank you, Mayor and Council and City Manager. So on this one, from our last presentation, I have not changed any of the definitions or any of the context of this. And further, staff is recommending a deferral of this to text amendment to the July 29th work session. As discussed earlier, well, I guess 1 week ago, there seems to be some issues with what is already allowed for daycares and adult daycares. So staff would love the opportunity to provide a full scope of that to you all before making a decision on any of those. And research was requested for small food retail, grocery stores, and convenience stores to get further defined and provide better examples in there. So staff is happy to go through and do those as well. And if there's any other changes you would like to see, please let us know in this meeting so I can work with the city manager to get those done.
Okay, thank you. We'll still keep the public hearing open. So at this time, do we have anyone who would like to speak on this particular item? Did we have anyone signed up? Do we have anyone who would like to speak on this item? Do we have anyone who would like to speak on this item? Do we have anyone who would like to speak on this item? Hearing none, we will now close this particular item. Are there any updates or changes that we would like for staff to address with this item in the deferment process?
Yeah, I think the big one everyone talked about is just the definition of convenience stores, right?
Right. Okay. Anything else?
I have some concerns about several of the definitions, so I support the deferral.
Okay. All right. So at this time, I'll take a motion.
Have a motion?
Yes.
And a quick point of order, do you want to add, just so that our staff have clear direction, do we want to add, and Councilwoman had mentioned she had several other, do you want to sort of do a general research into all definitions and more information on all definitions, or do we want to just get specific with that? I could do that as an amendment to the motion or in the motion itself.
You can add that to the motion where we can just defer that to have staff look at the definition.
Okay. All right.
Is that
So-
fine for everyone? Okay.
Yeah, I'm okay with that. All right, so I move that we defer the consideration of an ordinance to amend the text of the Clarkson zoning ordinance Appendix A, Articles 4 and 7 of the city code to the July 29th work session to allow staff additional time to research and provide more details and definitions to several of the categories.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Is there any further discussion?
Well,
Yes.
so I think one point is the definitions, and I think the other one is to make sure that it makes sense for the type of structure that we're speaking of, because we noticed that there was like duplicative effort, and some of them didn't make sense for the type of businesses that we authorize in our city. Is that clear?
Yes, and to clarify kind of what was discussed at the last meeting that staff planned to do was actually community outreach to these business owners that are affected by these possible changes. So that's why we requested 2 months to make sure we have enough time to talk to those business owners as well.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Just one point of clarity.
Yes.
I think, Richard, you're saying the same thing I'm saying. I want to make sure that the functionality of the business is also how we define it, so there are not any inconsistencies when they come back to get licensed or whatever the case may be, because some of them have been operating in a way that is not something that we allow, that's allowable usage. Does that make sense?
Okay. So it's not only the definitions, but the functionality to make sure that it matches up.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So we all in consensus with that part? Okay, I just want to make sure we're good. Thank you. All right, is there any further discussion? Are you ready for the question? And I want to have Councilman Perkins to repeat the motion.
With the,
To repeat the motion.
okay.
Yep.
So I'm moving that we defer, sorry, just give me 1 second. Let me get back to my current agenda item. Move forward. All right, so I move that we defer our consideration of an ordinance to amend the text of the Clarkson zoning ordinance Appendix A, Articles 4 and 7 of the city code to the July 29th work session to give our city staff time to further research the definitions and categories mentioned in the ordinance and to provide for additional public input.
Okay, and this, are all in favor of it?
Do you need a second? Or
We already did.
We already did the
seconded.
second. I
Wait,
just
wait,
needed you to
just
repeat it.
Gotcha.
Yep. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion passed. All right, we'll move on to the next public hearing, which is item E, and that is to receive comments from the public regarding an ordinance to amend the Clarkson zoning ordinance to provide architectural design requirements for residential garages and carports, and to provide building elevation requirements. Mr. Edwards.
All right, thank you, Mayor and Council and City Manager. So the first piece to this one would be to add in building elevations of residential structures shall not be repeated at a rate greater than once every 5 building lots or units along the same street frontage to minimize the monotonous appearance of residential developments. This would mostly affect new developments, specifically townhomes and larger subdivisions that would be coming in for development. Staff has not seen any large developments of existing residential homes in most of our established neighborhoods. We don't think there's any immediate effects on those. And the second piece to this text amendment is residential garages and carports facing a street shall not be located closer to the street than the dwelling's primary facade. And 2, the residential garage and carports facing a street shall not be comprised of more than 50% of the front facade. And there's been studies on this in the planning world saying that there is a safety measure here. Being able to see into the front of residential homes could provide safety. And then the architectural piece, not allowing the garages and carports to be in front of the front facade and allowing the garages to be less than 50% of the front facade.
Okay. All right, thank you. And so we'll now open this for public hearing. So at this time, Ms. City Clerk, did we have anyone signed up? Okay, do we have anyone from the public? Anyone from the public? Anyone from the public? Hearing none, then this public hearing is closed, and now we'll entertain a motion for this particular item, and that is F, which is a second read and adoption of an ordinance to amend the Clarkston zoning ordinance to provide architectural design requirements for residential garages and carports and to provide building elevation requirements. So I'll entertain a motion at this time.
Yes, I have a motion. I move to approve an ordinance to amend the text of the Clarkston zoning ordinance, Appendix A, Article 5 of the City Code, to provide architectural design requirements for residential garage and carport, and to provide architectural building elevation requirements to minimize the monotonous appearance of residential developments.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, it has been properly moved and seconded to approve an ordinance to adopt the text of the Clarkston zoning ordinance Appendix A, Article 5 of the City Code to provide architectural design requirements, residential garage and carport requirements, and to provide architectural building elevation requirements to minimize the monotonous appearance of residential developments. Is there any further discussion? Is there anything else that we need for staff to do for this one? Okay, you ready for the question? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Motion passed. All right, and our next public hearing, Mr. Edwards, and that is to receive comments from the public regarding an ordinance to amend the Clarkston zoning ordinance to require a mix of land uses within projects in the town center TC zoning district for parcels over 1/2 acre in size.
All right, thank you, Mayor, Council, and City Manager. So on this one, we did take some comments from City Council at our last meeting and update the proposed ordinance here. So the new ordinance would require that a town center development consisting of land area between 1/2 acre and 2 acres shall contain at least 2 types of land use as identified in the table below. Each use type shall have a minimum of 25% of the total density. In a new section, a town center development consisting of a land area greater than 2 acres shall contain at least 3 types of land uses and densities as identified in the table below. And just for the general knowledge here, the table below does list residential, institutional and cultural, commercial and retail, and office as the 4 use types that can be selected here. And staff added some extra research into the staff report here. So on this, now there are 14 properties that are between 1/2 acre and 2 acres, and there are only 2 properties greater than 2 acres currently zoned town center. And some research on some neighboring cities and similar sized cities that have these types of districts. So Avondale Estates, they actually do not have any required mixed use zoning districts, but they provide density bonuses for mixed use developments. We've got Conyers, they have 2 mixed use zoning districts and a mixed use overlay. Douglasville, they do have a town center mixed use district that requires a minimum of 2 land uses for every property. Forest Park has 2 mixed use districts. Pine Lake has a mixed use overlay Riverdale has 2 mixed-use districts. Social Circle has 2 special districts that require mixed use. Stonecrest has 5 mixed-use districts and a mixed-use overlay. Stone Mountain has Village Center mixed use, which requires a mix of use if residential development is included as part of a mixed use. And then Tucker has 4 mixed-use districts and 3 downtowns, with only one of the downtown overlays requiring mixed use. That's 4 total districts there. With that, also in your packet, I provided some examples of existing properties. The first being 1107 Bond Street, which is 0.3 acres. And it has 2 one-story buildings hosting a total of 3 businesses with a combined gross floor area of 6,800 square feet. And this one is required to have 34 parking spaces, and it currently only has 27. And despite these deficiencies, the property demonstrates a relatively high commercial density for its size, accommodating multiple businesses on less than half an acre of land. And the second one being 1055 Roland Street. It's 0.98, so almost an acre there. It's 1 2-story building with a combined gross floor area of 2,955 square feet. Based on the current parking standards, it requires 15 and only 13 are provided. And my disclaimer in here is staff is unaware of any redevelopment or future plans for this city property. And below is purely a hypothetical scenario to demonstrate the intent of this proposed text amendment. So on this one, for example, this property utilizes the mixed use for under 2 acres by having office space in the existing building and maybe adding park space to the right side there, which would allow it to meet the 2-use minimum. So it's a property approximately an acre that would potentially benefit from this type of ordinance. And with that, I will turn it back over to the mayor.
Okay, thank you. And so this, we will also open up for public hearing. Clerk Mitchell, did we have anyone signed up for this one?
No, Mayor.
Okay, thank you. And so do we have anyone signed up for this item? Is there anyone wanting to speak on this item? Is there anyone wanting to speak on this item? Hearing none, we will now close the public hearing, and we will now move to H, which is the second read and adoption of an ordinance to amend the Clarkston zoning ordinance to require a mix of land uses within projects in the town center TC zoning district for parcels over 1/2 acre in size. So I will entertain a motion from the council at this time. Councilman Carroll.
Madam Mayor, I move to table this also to the July 29th work session.
Okay. Is there a second?
Yes,
Second.
I second.
Okay, all right. It has been properly moved and seconded that we defer this to the July 29th work session. Is there any further discussion or anything else you would like staff to do?
Yeah, so basically, we were originally at 1/2 acre for 3 uses, and we changed it just now. And I just feel like it needs some more study, because I'm still concerned that having a 1/2 acre and requiring 2 uses, some 1/2 acre lots may only fit like 1 use easily, like a small grocery store or something like that. To say you have to have 2, the developer may just say, well, instead of building a small grocery store, I'll just build nothing and move on to a different project. So my concern is that while I appreciate the intent behind it, I still think that some 1/2 acre lots, it's too much to require multiple uses. So I'd rather study this more and move it to July 29th.
Okay. So action for staff. What are you wanting us to?
I think we may need to think a little bit more about how many uses we require per the acreage. Like, for example, if this said you have to have 3 uses for just 2 acres and that was it, I would support it. But I'm worried that 1/2 acre, when you're requiring multiple uses, that's when you're just requiring maybe too much to be done on a smaller lot than would really be economically feasible.
Councilwoman Hood?
Yes, I would like to take additional time to look into this, finding that other cities have used density bonuses instead of requirement. I think we should look at that maybe for the smaller end of the lot sizes. And that would be something that would be, we might end up with the same thing, but it might give a certain flexibility to the property developer. So I'm in agreement with the deferral.
Okay. And Councilwoman Bell?
Yeah, I just would like an analysis, right, of all the cities that you listed over there, Richard, identifying what has worked and what doesn't work, what has also been a challenge, and also the financial burden to having on such a small acreage or lot size, rather.
Okay.
For parcel, sorry.
All right, so we have a motion to defer it, but from a staffing perspective and for the city manager, we're looking for analysis of the information that you provided, and so we can have a better understanding. Is that fine for the council?
And I think look into the density bonus option that Councilman Hood referenced as well.
Okay. All right, so is there any other further discussion? You ready for the question? All in favor to defer this item to the July 29th work session, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion passed. And we'll now move into the second read and adoption. Oh, we did it. And we'll move to consider an ordinance to increase the number of Historic Preservation Commission members from 3 to 5 and to remove term limits for HPC members and to require advertisement of opportunities to apply to serve as a member of the HPC. Mr. Edwards.
All right, thank you, Mayor, Council, and City Manager. So on this one, it's a request to change the HPC from 3 members to 5 members, 4 members to be appointed by City Council, and 1 member to be appointed by the mayor. And with this, I think right now that HPC is having trouble because at 3 members, 2 is a quorum, so none of them can actually meet outside of a legally advertised meeting. So they are struggling with that. And with future projects, we do believe it would be good to have at least 2 of them together for projects. And lastly, it would remove the 2 term limits. Currently, it only allows 2 consecutive terms. But the proposed text amendment would be that it would have to be advertised on the city's website for 30 days before any appointment is made by City Council as a way to advertise for new members to come on without just reappointing the same individual people every year. And with that, I will turn it back over to the mayor.
Okay, thank you very much. With this, I'll entertain a motion for this particular item.
I have a motion, Madam Mayor.
Yes.
I move to approve an ordinance to amend the text for the Clarkston Code of Ordinance, Chapter 15, Section 33, pertaining to the number, appointment, and terms of the HPC.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, it's been properly moved and seconded to approve an ordinance to amend the text of the Clarkston Code of Ordinance, Chapter 15, Section 33 pertaining to the number, appointment, and term of members to the HPC. Is there further discussion? Councilwoman Bell.
Yes, I have no problem with the expansion of the number of individuals on the board, but the term limit does bring me concerns. I think I expressed those in the last meeting in regards to maintaining new and fresh ideas. In that, I understand that some of the projects take 5 years or more, but that, based off my research, has been the extent to how long. And so endless terms also bring concerns as regards to that. Not to mention that the city doesn't have that many options for historic preservation that we know of at this moment. And so I think there's a level of accountability associated with having a diverse group of folks that come in and out. And I don't think that the term should be endless.
Okay. Any comments? Because and correct me, we can remove anyone at any point as far as.
Yep.
Yes, ma'am. Planning and Zoning Commission and HPC do serve at your pleasure.
Okay.
Excuse me, can you,
Yes.
Richard, what are the term limits now?
The terms now are you cannot serve 2 consecutive terms without taking a term off.
Without what?
You can't be reappointed after 2 terms. And then you have to set out, there's not a specified time. I would
Okay.
assume it'd be at least a year before you could come for another appointment if it's available.
Right, and can you say what the length of a term is?
That was my question, yeah.
Yeah, for the HPC, it is 3 years.
Councilman Carroll?
That was my question.
Yeah, okay. All right. Any other comments, questions for Mr. Edwards? All right. Hearing none, any questions from the council? Okay, are you ready for the question? All in favor to approve an ordinance to amend the text of the Clarkston Code of Ordinance, Chapter 15, Section 33 pertaining to the number, appointment, and term of members to the HPC, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay.
Nay.
Aye, so it passed. Okay. We'll move on to the next item, which is to consider the adoption of an ordinance to amend the city charter to be consistent with the state general law concerning the minimal term of municipal code judges. And we'll have our attorney, Ms. Laura, to provide that once the train stops.
Well, y'all can hear me now, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
There's no horn.
Yes, this item is before you for approval, because the state general law changed recently to require that the municipal court judge serve a 2-year term. And, our city charter previously had the old state law language, which required a 1-year term. So we're just updating the city charter to reflect that change in state law.
All right, with that, I'll entertain a motion.
I have a motion, Madam Mayor.
Yes.
I move to amend the city charter to be consistent with the state law that requires a 2-year term of office for the municipal court judge.
Is there a second?
Second, and I have
Okay.
a question.
All right, it's been properly moved and seconded to amend the city charter to be consistent with state law that requires a 2-year term of office for the municipal court judge. Councilwoman Hood, what is your question?
Yes, do we have to have a public hearing on this?
No, Councilwoman, but it does require 2 adoptions at consecutive meetings.
So this is our first adoption,
Correct.
and it will be on the next agenda for our second adoption.
Correct.
Thank you.
Correct, Richard?
Right,
I think it has to be
Yeah.
2 public
It
meetings.
so it
requires,
has to be 2
yeah, it requires 2
The work
adoptions,
session.
so it'll be
Right.
on the July
July meeting.
That's right.
regular meeting agenda.
Okay, and so for this one, we'll just vote to approve it, and then the next one, we'll do it again. Correct, okay. All right, is there any further discussion on this item? Are you ready for the question? All in favor to amend the city charter to be consistent with state law that requires a 2-year term of office for the municipal court judge, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion passed. All right, with that, now we will move into executive session. And so for everyone here, that means that the council will deliberate. And so unless you just want to see how long we're going to stay, this is the last item for the day. And so we appreciate staff and all for being here. So thank you very much. And with that, we'll have someone to provide a motion to go into executive session.
I have a motion, Madam Mayor.
Yes.
I move to go into executive session to discuss the personnel matter.
Was there a second?
Second.
Okay, it's been properly moved and seconded that we go into executive session to discuss a personnel matter. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion's passed. And so thank you everyone for coming tonight.
Madam Mayor, I know that we're in between sessions, but I just want to make a point that we do not anticipate any action out of this executive session.
Okay, thank you. No action and nothing for you to come back to